Join me as I read from this interesting collection of articles about humanity, articles about the state, articles about life, articles about the future, written by a great mind, a mind on a mission, a mind beyond journalism, a philosopher. In writing, he digs deep and he hits hard. In writing, he sees the future and hits the mark. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. Let's read together. Look at this book. It's his book. It's a big book. In the belly of vultures. In the belly of vultures. You see this book? The author of the book writes, he says, this book, Nigeria, a nation in the belly of vultures, has many titles. It was originally conceived as Nigeria, a nation of idiots. Huh? It's understandably so. It was the fiery pastor, the incorruptible ultra-nationalist, Barrister Tunde Bakare, who once lamented that it takes only fools to be ruled by idiots, or idiots to be ruled by fools. I'm reading from the prologue of the book. So the author says in one of the articles in this collection, I opined that all Nigerians must have been compound idiots for them to allow, tolerate, and grudgingly accept the barefaced robbery which the ruling elite had inflicted on the country's patrimony. The author continues, no collection of human beings anywhere in history and in the world had allowed the reckless brigandage that had consumed the Nigerian nation for the past 55 years without raising a finger in protest. The author of this book, I will call it the biggest book in our collection. The author of this book is Chief Tola Adeniyi, a renowned journalist, former chairman of the Daily Times, chairman and editor-in-chief of the Daily Times. The Daily Times at the time was the biggest newspaper in Africa, Nigeria's first ombudsman. Chief Tola Adeniyi, it's good to have you on State Affairs.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm always delighted to be with you and to rub minds with you.
And thank you for coming. A nation of idiots.
Yes.
You really meant it?
I meant it. I mean, that was the title I chose for it. Except it was my friend, late Professor George Obiozo, who said, no, that's too hard, it's too harsh. Why not tune it down? Choose a different title. You know that Nigeria is in the belly of vultures. But to say that the vultures, the people in the belly of vultures are also idiots, is too much for them. They've already been eaten up by the vultures. Why do you want to add more to the agony by calling them idiots? So just let them remain in the belly of the vultures and don't add any insult to their injury. Don't call them idiots. So that's why the title was, even when it was going to the press, it was a nation of idiots. It was Obiozo who changed the title.
And you agreed with his argument?
Yes, I did. Because it was not the Nigerians that really offended me. Well, nobody offended me, but I was really frustrated by the foolishness, by the seeming helplessness of Nigerians that have been able to tolerate all the nonsense they've been going through over the years. And it still aches me now that in fact, they become more idiotic than they were at the time I was writing this book some 8-9 years ago.
They've become weaker.
More idiotic.
The vultures have become more powerful.
More powerful. I mean, the vultures have made a mincemeat of them, just tearing them apart into pieces and chopping their heads off.
Who are the vultures?
The vultures are the political class. The political class, whether in uniform or in Agbada or in Babangida or in whatever dress they wore. It's the political class. They're anti-people, wicked, unfeeling, selfish, greedy. I can't understand how any collection of human beings could tolerate them and live with them and allow them to remain so.
Have Nigerians tolerated them?
Well, if they've not tolerated them, they should have removed them.
Have they not fought them on different occasions?
Well, maybe meekly. I mean, when people fight, you don't fight halfway. When you want to fight, you uproot.
Uproot can be a revolution.
Yeah, that's what this country needs. Revolution, serious one.
NSAS was a resistance
NSAS,
of the elite.
Yes, it wasn't of the elite, it was the young people. It was the resistance by the young people.
And I'm saying resisting the political elite.
Yes, they were. It was well organized.
So they are not idiots.
No, the youth of this country are not idiots.
But you have called them members of a nation of idiots.
Yeah, members of the oppressed and depressed and repressed.
And you made a point in this book, your literary autobiography.
Yes.
That is young people that have the power to change the country.
They are. I still believe they are the people who could change the country. I mean, when Nzeogwu made an attempt, he was under 30 years of age. You know, if you know, all of them, they were under 30 years of age. It's the young people who have the muscle to change any society. Jesus was under 30. Except Prophet Muhammad, who was in his late 50s, was in his 50s when he started his own religious revolution. All the other leaders I know were under 40 years of age.
In the belly of vultures.
Yes.
Are we still in the belly of vultures?
Much more so.
Can we come out of the belly of vultures?
I don't know. I'm not optimistic at all. I'm just scared and saddened by what I see, what I hear, what I notice, and what people say. You know, it's we are so much inside. We are so much gone that I wonder if we could really get out of the belly. You know, and if we do get out, if the youth can do something, those of us who are in advanced in age, we're already gone. I mean, what am I going to benefit if the country changes? I mean, over 80 years of age. And people in my generation and those who are very close to my generation have lost. They've lost the war, they've lost the battle. So they should just, count their days and wait for the time they're going to end up in the grave.
You are following the Natasha Akpabio quarrel, right?
Yes.
What do you think?
It is not funny at all. I mean, it is still part of the dilemma. It's still part of the madness that we are going through in this country. I mean, how could a person like Akpabio be leader of the Senate? Senate, the Senate, even the Roman times, Senate. That's the highest political class. It's the Senate, the most respected political class. Akpabio should be in prison.
How?
In a decent society, Akpabio should be in prison. Many people like him should be in prison. I mean, go and read what the FCC has said about him, and they never closed the case. They just silenced the FCC. You know, when there's 44 billion, 90 billion, something billion. all charges against one man. And it has not been, the charges have not been vacated. And you find him now, going with excessive, what do you call it, people running after him, this siren blowing people. And he goes about, shamelessly. He should be in prison. People like him should be in prison. He has no business being in government. He has no business being in charge of a country like Nigeria. And at the top, he's number 3 citizen, for God's sake. It makes you sad as a Nigerian, as somebody who has lived in this country for years, as somebody who has lived 88 decades in this country, to have a person like an Akpabio as President of the Senate.
Has he done well as the President of the Senate?
He has just been clowning. I can't point out what he has done, or what the Senate itself has done. I can't point out anything that they've done.
Is Natasha out to bring him down, or Akpabio is bringing himself down?
I don't know. It's because it's still part of the problem of this country. Akpabio has never been. Is a man on the ground. These are people. This ordinarily is a plebeian. Is somebody ordinarily is a nobody. It's the Nigerian situation, the Nigerian structure. People like him are people are living on the mat, sleeping on the mat. But Nigerian situation, the hypocrisy, not the hypocrisy, the servitude, all these funny people saying rank and did to him, there are people making him feel that he's on top of anywhere, and making Nigerians feel that he's on top of anywhere.
Senator Natasha has accused him of sexual harassment.
Yes. Nigeria has always been a joke. So when you think like somebody accuses somebody of sexual harassment and going there, it's all it's extension of the joke. Nigeria is a joke. Nigeria is a joke. And when you are accused of something and you say you are the Senate President, you don't sit in judgment in a case that involves you. It's this extension of the joke. Natasha has a right to accuse somebody if she had grounds to accuse, and they should have listened to her rather than shut her down and do the needful, ask people to interrogate, ask people to investigate, and if they found her to be frivolous, punish her, and if they found the other man guilty, punish him. But things don't work like that in Nigeria because it's not a normal country. It's a very abnormal country, very, very abnormal. Sick.
At what point did the rain begin to beat us?
I would say from the time strange bedfellows were put together, when that man, history says is a eunuch, brought Nigerian people from the north and people from the south together.
You're talking about Lord Lugard?
Yeah, they say it's a eunuch. Yeah, Lord Lugard. I don't call him Lord Lugard. I just call him a criminal fellow.
Why criminal?
Well, what did he do in India? What did he do in the Sudan? It's just a career criminal. It was more or less a dignified pirate.
He amalgamated the North and the South and protectorate.
Yes.
And
that was the beginning. And in fairness to him, he said for 100 years. I mean, the British at that time, 100 years. If it was 100 years, that should have lapsed in 2014. But here we are, 2025. Because the greedy politicians will not do what they needed to do.
What should they do?
They should have. The amalgamation was off by 2014, according to the books.
So, but we decided to keep it.
Yeah.
We have a right to keep it.
The question is not right. It's not whether we have a right or not right. And why should you keep something that was not legally binding? Why should you keep something that was not democratically processed?
Chief Adeniyi, don't forget we have gone through different constitutional processes to refine that amalgamation. So we have the 1999 Constitution that keeps the country together.
Lord of mercy. Who are the people in the Constitution? Who are the people doing the Constitution? Is it not the same people in the belly of the vultures? Who are the people doing the Constitution?
So if you had your way?
If I had my way, the first and foremost, at the time in 1952, when they are talking about putting secession clause in the Constitution, which was vetoed by Zik according to history, and Awolowo and Ahmadu Bello agreed to having a secession clause in the bogus thing. Then everybody would have gone their way, you know. I mean, let the Ijos, the fourth largest ethnic group in Nigeria, have their own country. Let the Yorubas have their own country. Let the Igbos have their own country, you know. And the people of the East and the West and the South and the North will have been the better for it. So, what constitution are you talking about?
So you think Nigeria, as presently constituted, will not work?
I've said that a million times. It will never work. We just keep on postponing the evil days. I mean, we've seen that it's not working. It can never work.
Is it not working?
Of course, it's not working. I mean, look at the people. Look at graduates selling plantain chips all over the place. Look at people, graduates carrying children on their back and holding children on their hand, still roaming, going about on Ikire Road and all that. See poverty-stricken people in Port Harcourt. See them in Nubi. See them in Nasarawa. See them in Zamfara.
But you still find them in poor countries like Niger, Chad. These are countries that you can say are monocultural.
But they're not working. No. No, it's not. The fact that it's so is not because Nigeria is not working. It's not because it's not monocultural. It's more than that. We're just unfortunate that when the colonial masters left, the people took over. Excuse those who ran for just 5 years. Those who followed them after 5 years, they continue to mess up the country and they behaved worse than the British colonial masters.
Why are you exempting the first 5 years?
I think because at that time it was a confederation. The West was the Igbos were running their country, the Yoruba were running their country, the Hausa under Ahmadu Bello they were running their country, and they
were running their regions.
Yes, that's what I mean. It's a country. I mean, this is a Yoruba country.
Okay.
So they were running, and the federal government was not breathing down on anybody. In fact, they were in charge.
But at some point, the federal government began to breathe down on the western region.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the problem. After that, it was the attempt by the NPC to whittle down the powers of Awolowo and all that. Then they conspired, created the Midwest and all that, and then wanted to send soldiers to run down the south because of Western Nigeria, because the people didn't support Akitola or didn't believe Akitola won the election. And then, the soldiers took advantage of that and felt they should end it all. And that was why they struck.
The soldiers like Nzeogwu.
Nzeogwu, my hero forever.
Your hero forever?
Yeah.
You named the street after Nzeogwu.
I did. 1976, Nzeogwu Crescent.
At the time, nobody dared to do that.
In fact, the chairman of the local government of Ibadan municipal government, Abbas, was afraid. He couldn't do it. Jembewa was scared. They had to get clearance from the Don Barracks before they could give approval to the Ibadan municipal government to name a street after Nzeogwu.
So they eventually gave approval?
They did.
Why did they give approval?
Well, maybe because Nzeogwu was Obasanjo's friend, or Obasanjo had a soft spot for him. That's what I thought. But even without the approval at that time, I'd already put signposts there, Nzeogwu Crescent.
So what excites you about him? Some people called him a cold-blooded murderer.
Well, I don't call him a cold-blooded murderer. I called him a revolutionary. And revolutionaries have their own way of doing things. If he felt that those who he rightly accused of running down the country should be killed, so be it. And as I said in one of my columns in 1978, 79, that if I was one of those, the 3,000 people that I said are running out the country, but one of them, they should tie me to the stake and shoot me. And I still stand by that. I did stand by that.
You visited Nzeogwu's mother at some point.
Yes, I went to Panam to see his mother after the war.
Why?
Because I wanted to see the woman who gave birth to such a great man.
Did you see her?
I did. Of course I saw her.
What did you tell her?
I told her that that our son fought a gallant fight and that he had a mission to rescue Nigeria and rescue Nigerians. If he had succeeded, we probably won't be where we are today. You know, I mean, they've just gone out of war. I mean, the war just ended, and she suffered also during the war, you know, running herself, you know, with the children and all that. You know, the war devastated the eastern region. But I could see that her eyes were teary, you know. I could see that she lost a son, you know.
What about his father?
I call him Jesus of 1966. No, I didn't talk about his father. I went specifically to see the mother. I didn't ask for anybody.
How were you able to find her?
I mean, I'm a journalist. I'm a reporter. I knew she was in Okadam, and I went there.
You called him Jesus of 1966.
Yes, in my collection Soul Fire, which was published in 1974. Jesus of 1966.
The Nzeogwu coup led to a counter coup.
Yes.
And the counter coup was more bloody.
Yes.
Than the January coup.
Of course.
You know, that counter coup brought Gowon.
Yes.
As head of state.
Yes.
And you wrote a lot against Gowon.
I did.
So what was it that angered you about him?
At that point in time, I thought and believed that he was immature and that he was not running the country well. And things were going out of hand and he didn't check. I mean, all the governors were there. He couldn't change them. He couldn't do any shuffle of his cabinet. And there were allegations of corruption and so on, you know. And I felt it was weak. But from hindsight now, it is the same me who wrote some 10 years ago that Gowon was the father of modern Nigeria.
So what changed your mind?
In comparison, what followed? I began to recognize that it was the one who did the Lagos-Ibadan Express. It was the one who built the airport. It was the one who built the cultural center. It was the one who did so many things. You know. And I mean, in comparison, I mean, it wasn't as bad as we thought, as the media painted him to be.
So how do you describe the media for doing that?
They were just responding to the issue at the moment, responding to what was on ground at that time. You know, I mean, nobody knew that Nigeria was going to be progressively worse. We thought it was going to get better.
Did you say progressively worse?
Yeah.
Is that a satire?
No, because it has become worse since then. I mean, right from the time Gowon was overthrown, it started nosediving.
And you predicted his fall.
Oh, yes, I did.
Remember the article?
Oh, yes. I wrote Let Me Fall. I wrote May We Never See It Again. When I predicted his fall, 13,000 copies of Daily Times were burnt because it was satire and my bosses didn't see it. You know, it was after the first edition had gone to the north and to the east that somebody drew their attention to it. And Baba just panicked and radioed all the distribution vehicles, you know, to come back to Kakawa.
Why did he panic?
They didn't want Gowon to see. They felt that if Gowon saw that article and they would close down the Daily Times and probably send me to jail. So the copies were brought and 30,000 copies of Daily Times were burnt. So that day, that morning, there was no Daily Times in the north and Daily Times in the east.
Because of Tola Adeniyi?
Yes, because of Abba Said.
Abba Saheed.
Yes.
Now, look at this book. This is Abba Saheed. This is Abba Saheed. It is the literary biography of Chief Tola Adeniyi. Have you read this book? I recommend this book to you. It's about poetry. It's about the beauty of writing. It's about storytelling. Abba Saheed. Let me read the preface here. A preface written by one of your colleagues.
Okay.
Bolakbo.
Bolabo.
Ogunso.
Yes.
He says it is gratifying that the title of his Nigerian Tribune column, "Till Death Do Us Part," did not eventually become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Why did you title your column "Till Death Do Us Part"?
I just thought we've come to the end of the road. I mean, as far as I was concerned at that time, it's only death that could separate me from what I was writing, from my condemnation, and from the agony that I was going through about Nigeria. And I wrote "Till Death Do Us Part." So, challenging or daring Obasanjo or daring anybody, Shagari, to come and take me and take my life.
From your writing, it is clear you are not scared of death.
Certainly not, never. But I'm scared of kidnappers.
Why are you scared of kidnappers?
Because it's saddening when 16-year-old, 17-year-old, unwashed, unkempt hooligans, keep you captive and they torture you and humiliate you. I detest humiliation because I believe, I wrote in one of the poems when I was much younger, that I don't believe in death. People don't die.
They transform, as you said.
Yeah, they continue in the continuum. You don't, writers in particular, and those who see tomorrow, those who have written or something have been written about them, they don't die. People who have done so well in their face, in their this physical face, they don't die. Because what is death? Just the change of physical body, which never existed on its own. The body is just a garment. It's just like a box. It never existed, never had any life. This body never had any life. So, to that extent, the owner of that body, the person in that body, the soul in that body doesn't die. And that's why I say it can never die. Awolowo will never die.
Where's Awolowo now?
It's with us. It's in the continuum. It's going on. I mean, Awolowo is mentioned every day. In one form or the other. Such people don't die.
That was a man you also worked with at some point.
I did, and I loved him. And I still love him.
But you quarreled with him at some point.
I did, of course I did.
And you gave him a piece of your mind.
Oh yes, in a terrible way. I mean, the way nobody has ever dared look in his face. And
how did he receive it?
Well, I mean, he knew I was angry, and several people were involved. I mean, Justice Adesanya was asked to call me. Professor Ujabi was sent to Ibadan to collect me, to plead with me. So many people. Oluleye and his wife came to my house. No, don't quarrel with leader and all that. And we made it up. I mean, I allowed him to use my paper till Sunday stamp for his campaign in '83. We became good friends again. In any case, my father's second wife is Awolowo's niece, so I couldn't have quarreled with Awolowo.
Who was he? What was unique about him?
If it were in the days of Shango and Obatala, I mean, Awolowo should have been deified. He did more to the Yoruba than any of the gods they are talking about.
So what's stopping us
Was
from making him a god?
Because since Shango, the last of the Yoruba deities, they've not created another deity. That's all.
So what's stopping us from creating new deities?
Well, I have created him. I call him an Orisha. For me, he's a deity.
Awolowo is a deity.
Yes, he is.
What makes him a deity?
His extraordinariness, his intellect, his courage, his service, his selflessness, his vision and visionariness. The man who saw 1 million years ahead of him. The man who was feared by death. Death was afraid of Awolowo. He was that powerful. He was that great.
Was it a mistake to have sent him to prison?
Well, political imprisonment, it wasn't a mistake for those who did it. It was cheering news to them.
And Nigeria paid for it.
Oh yes, and we are still paying for it. If Awolowo had become president in 1979, we won't be where we are today. He meant well for Nigeria. He meant well for humanity. He was a people's man.
Did he mean well for the Igbos?
He meant well for everybody. If he didn't mean well for Igbos, he won't make Igbo man his running mate.
That was after the war.
No, in 79, he made this. If he didn't like them during the war or after the war, how could he make his running mate an Igbo man?
You know, some Igbos are angry that during the war, he was the finance commissioner of Nigeria.
Yeah, and number 2 man.
And number 2 man.
Yes.
Some said he made the argument that hunger is a legitimate instrument of war.
Yeah, but that's a known fact anywhere in the world. Starvation is a legitimate weapon of war. And it wasn't the head of state. And in any case, like I argued with one of my friends, I have a lot of people friends, quite close friends, like I mentioned, Obasanjo and so many of them. Why should they continue to make friends with people who never regarded them as human beings? That even as recent as some 8 years ago, or even 4 years ago, 8 years ago, thereabout, Buhari was calling them a dot in a circle. You know. What is the character of the Igbos to make them to continue to go to Kano, to go to Jos, to go to Zaria, to go to such places?
Perhaps the character of one Nigeria.
No. Greed, commerce, and all that, and being. I hate to say, they must have approved of their way of life. They must have approved. They must have seen some kinship in such people.
So you're saying that on a good day after what happened before the war and after the war,
no Yoruba man will go back to where their wives and children were treated the way the Igbos were treated. No Yoruba man will ever go back there. None. I can say that with all authority at my disposal.
But the Igbos went back.
Yeah.
And now some of them are calling for Biafra.
Yes, I know. Some of them, yes. But those calling for Biafra were not Igbo leadership.
Is there anything like Igbo leadership?
There must be. Every culture must have some people they defer to.
But you know...
I know Igbos are Republican, I know that.
Yes, and they are cephalous.
I know that, but they still respect some people. They respect their grandparents, they respect their parents. I don't buy the stupid talk that an Igbo man will wake his mother up by kicking her in the ass. No, it does. I went there. They shifted to in the east. I went to the east. I saw that even the Igbo girls couldn't even smoke in their father's houses. Yeah. I found that an Igbo woman would not bring a boyfriend to sleep with her in her father's house. I found that out. And we didn't know that in the West here. I found serious moral rectitude among the Igbo girls. You know?
So the point is that Awolowo didn't hate the Igbos.
Never. He didn't. This woman, Odumadu, was the leader of the woman leader of the UPN, an Igbo woman. Awolowo did not hate the Igbos at all. Awolowo had no stomach for hatred.
But some would say Awolowo should have avoided that war cabinet.
It was a call for duty. He didn't. Gowon released him from prison. If Gowon said he needed his wisdom, he needed his service, he needed his expertise, of course.
to fight against the Igbos.
Not to fight. I mean, he was in the cabinet before the war started, so it couldn't have been to go and fight the Igbos.
But before the war started, it was clear that Nigeria was moving towards a war situation.
Yeah, that was not Awolowo's creation. It was the creation of those the Igbos continue to worship.
The Igbos continue to worship who?
They continue to worship those who hated them and who treated them like they didn't belong to this world.
Did the Igbos miscalculate at some point in the history of Nigeria?
No. Well, as far as the war was concerned, it wasn't miscalculation. Although the war was not necessary, they shouldn't have gone to war. But they were provoked. Igbos had no choice but to go to the war. They had no choice other than to fight to defend it, to defend humanity. I supported Ojukwu 1,000%. They were pushed to the wall. They had to fight. They had to create their own country by fire, by force.
Do you think there should be Biafra?
Of course. Of course. Of course. Why did I go and visit my Nzeogwu's mother? Why did I go to the east for my honeymoon? Why did I go to Lagos or go to somewhere else to do my honeymoon after marriage?
You went to the house of Chinua Achebe?
I went to Chinua Achebe in Nsukka University. I spent a night there. I went to Mazi, the author, what's his name now? He was president of youth movement. He lived somewhere close to Enugu. You know, I went to see him. I spent a night there.
Will Biafra come?
It will come. I mean, Nigeria is going to break up. Nobody can do anything about it. Nobody.
Why are you so certain about it?
Because I know it will happen. No country operated the way Nigeria has been operated can survive. It's not possible. All the rogues who are running the country down, who are doing all sorts of things they are doing now, will pass away. They will not be there forever.
But they are preparing their children.
Well, we've seen the quality of the children they are preparing. We have seen the quality of those children.
And they know how to handle the
We
people.
have seen the quality of those children.
They know how to handle the
We
people.
have seen the quality of those
It
children.
even seems their children are more brilliant than their fathers.
No, we've seen the quality of the children.
You've seen them?
Yeah, we've seen the quality of the children.
Mm.
Some of them in the House of Representatives, House of Assembly, some of them have been there for 4 years, 5 years, they've not said a word. We've seen their quality.
This book,
Yes.
Things Fall Apart,
Yes.
by Chinua
Yes.
Achebe. You know, you were not up to 22 when you staged.
I was 19.
You were 19.
Yes.
And you staged Chinua Achebe.
Yes.
What so interested you about this work at the time?
I read Things Fall Apart in secondary school, and I found that there was more theater in the book than just storytelling. I saw theater, I saw drama, I saw dramatic elements, I saw dramatic situations, and I thought this novel is better as a play than even as a novel. Then I went to Segun Ambassador Segun Olushola, may God rest his soul, to take me to Achebe to obtain permission, approval to adapt the play, the book into a play. He was living on Broad Street in Lagos, was working with Radio Nigeria, somewhere like that. So Olushola took me to him upstairs, and he saw me, young boy, and he said, "Yes, you think you're up to the task?" And I told him that I've written so many Yoruba plays and all that. And he said, "Okay, go ahead. You'll be the first person to adopt the play, and I wish you luck." I told him I was already considering the same for Cyprianquensis, Iska, and I was doing the same thing with Jane Eyre, Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre, and Ngugu's We've No Child. Yes, I was 19.
When you met Chinua Achebe,
Yes.
did you fall in love with him?
I don't know whether the word is love. I've always followed him. I mean, when I was reading him as a secondary school boy, I fell in love with his writing. I fell in love with the simplicity of his prose, the unpretentiousness of his of his message to the world. Because when you read Things Fall Apart, it's not just writing a story. It's addressing humanity. So I saw beyond the story of Okonkwo, Ikemefuna, Oberika, and so on, Weye, and so on. I saw a man talking to humanity, juxtaposing the white man's culture, African culture, and all that, and the tragedy of culture shock and culture challenges, and so on and so forth. And the triumph of the African in that novel, even though people will say it is tragic for Congo, no, there was a triumph, because he established the supremacy of his culture and pointed to the world whoever violated that supremacy, whichever African that tended to insult the supremacy of his culture, may then go the way Okonkwo went. So it was more the celebration of his culture, celebration of Africanness. So when I saw him, I saw that in his eyes. I saw that looking at his head, as if I was penetrating his skull. And then I fell in love with him at that point in time. And I would have been very sad if he had rejected my request.
He didn't reject you?
No, he didn't. He embraced it. He encouraged me.
Have we digested the meaning of this work intensely in this part of the world?
I don't think so. We have not done enough for humanity, for humanities, that is for literature, history, the study of life, psychology and all that. Maybe the Achebe generation, the Awolowo generation, the Pepper Clark generation, even Abiola Irele and so on, or to some extent Oshabiso and Jeyifo. But generally the generations after them are more concerned about just passing exams. And in the case, that was the design of the colonial master. They didn't intend for us to reason. We are prepared for just exams, just garbage in, garbage out, just pass and go and take certificate. The culture of understanding, of studying humanity, of interrogating the concepts of life, we are not exposed to them. And now that everybody is jammed this and that, poverty in the universities and so on, polytechnics and college education, nobody really cares about humanity. So books like Achebe's Things Fall Apart or Ngugu's We've No Child, people really don't give it. They just read the surface, pass the exams, ask them questions about Okonkwo, then they just. I'm talking of people really understanding the depth, like you rightly said, on the depth of any work of art.
So has this affected the way we think as a people?
Oh yes. Very well so. Our children, grandchildren, they really don't. They're not interested.
Have we become more mentally shallow?
Very much so.
And it's penetrating every sphere of society.
Yes, it does. It is.
Even governance.
Unfortunately. Who are the governors? Again, we make them feel important in this country. Who are they? Who is a governor? Who are they? What's their background? How much knowledge do they have?
And you need knowledge to grow a society.
They don't have it. And that is what my friend Dr. Farumbi has always harped upon. The recruitment into leadership in Nigeria, into political leadership, the recruitment is so poor, it's wretched. Somebody will just maybe he worked with Abacha or stole some money in America or in England or whatever, came back with some cash, then, push his way through, and then you make him a governor, you make him whatever, Nothing. You can't say, you say a governor of, say, X state or Y state. You cannot pin that governor to any philosophy he has ever espoused in his life. You cannot quote him on anything because he has never been there.
So deep thinking is no longer part of leadership.
No. And because they don't have it, since they don't have it, they cannot give it.
So for the Achebes,
oh wow,
they wrote for people of the past.
Yes, that's right.
People of the future are not ready to dive deep into these words.
No. Even a man of the people, even the ones that are more relevant to politics and political life, they don't read them.
Achebe did not win a Nobel Prize.
Unfortunately.
Was it unfortunate?
It's unfortunate because I think it was more deserving than many other people who have been given Nobel Prize in the world.
Chief Tola Adeniyi, you have written books.
Yes, 13 of them.
I've read your articles.
Yes.
And when you are not there, I keep reflecting on the person of Chief Tola Adeniyi. I have mentioned about 3 books since this interview started. Abba Sahid is a book you should read. Chief Tola Adeniyi is Abba Sahid. Babatunde Joseph
yes,
encouraged you to change your name.
Yes.
So you picked Abba Sahid.
Yes, Adetola Babatunde Atonda.
At that time,
then Sahid, my Muslim name.
You needed to be safe.
That's right.
And Tola Adeniyi was in danger.
Much so.
The military guys were after you.
Much so.
And the editor-in-chief suggested
yes,
that you come out with a pen name.
That's right.
And that's Abba Sahid.
Abba Sahid.
This is the biography, literary biography of Abba Sahid. But you want to read the philosophical works of Abba Sahid, Chief Tola Adeniyi. Look at the compilation here. This book is how many pages now? I'll get there. Okay. See. I'm on 1,185, 1,187, 1,189. And here we are, 1,192 pages. You wrote so many articles.
Yes, this is just volume 1.
This is just volume 1.
Yes.
At some point at the Daily Times, you were writing how many articles per day?
16 per week.
Per week. You were prolific.
So they say.
16 per week.
Yes.
Look at how your friend described you. Here. And I'm talking about Yemi Farumbi.
Okay.
He says this biography looks at the various facets of Tola Adeniyi, either in the use of satire or the use of rage as a legitimate weapon. Rage as a legitimate weapon.
Yes.
You are always angry in your writings.
Yes.
That is what your friend described as rage.
Yeah, I am. I'm still angry.
When are you going to be happy?
When I pass on. When I shed this bodily garment.
But I don't think we are ready to let you go.
Well,
perhaps we enjoy you with your anger. We don't want you to be happy yet. So stay with us.
Thank you, sir.
Don't be happy yet.
Thank you, sir.
Aha. So I won't ask you that question again. Because I know what happiness will cost us.
Oh, Lord.
Now look at this. Your friend says this Bolakbo Ogunsowo. He says here, it's also gratifying and commendable that unlike the sad experiences of similar political writers of the General Augusto Pinochet era in Argentina or currently in Lebanon, the triumvirate of Nigeria's former head of state, Yakubu Gowon, Shehu Shagari, and Olusegun Obasanjo, who received most of Tola Adeniyi's literary savagery,
Wow.
were not tempted to take physical action against him. This is a colleague
Yes.
describing your writings as literary savagery. And he thanked your stars that these men did not come after you physically. Did you ever meet Gowon one-on-one?
Of course, I met him when he was head of state. I met him after he was overthrown. I actually queued for lunch with him at Warwick University when he came after he was overthrown. He looked back, I saw me, I told him he should let me carry his trace. I said, no, are you here again to insult me, to fight me, to abuse me? I said, no, sir, Your Excellency. That was in 1977 at Warwick University. I was then in Lancaster University.
But you saw it coming?
That was going to be overthrown?
Yeah.
Of course, yes, of course.
Murtala Muhammad and Coups.
Yes, I saw it. And I saw Murtala. I wrote editorial and sketch a week before Murtala was killed, drawing his attention to his security, and that I hope something untold will not happen to him soon. I wrote it, and he was killed that week.
So you saw that space there?
Yes.
It was not security conscious?
No, and I wrote an editorial on it.
Why was he not that conscious about his security?
I think he has, I may be wrong, I think he was a man who believed he would have a violent death and was not scared of it, of the thought. I think he was conscious of being a martyr, that he was very conscious of it.
Was he a violent man?
By nature, yes. Very.
Because I've read stories about him during the war.
Yes.
Even the counter-coup.
Yes.
Was he the leader of the counter-coup?
He was the initiator. He was the brain behind it.
He was the brain behind it?
100%, yes.
Not Gowon?
No, not Gowon. Gowon couldn't stage a coup.
Gowon couldn't stage a coup?
No.
How?
Gowon is not a violent person. Not a violent person at all. And Gowon is not power hungry. He's not after power. And he didn't feel as enraged as average Hausa man or Fulani man about the coup or about the death of Saddam. Don't forget that also Hausas among those who staged that coup. So Gowon was not a violent person, and the religious background of Gowon, he was a catechist son. Gowon was more of a preacher. Gowon was, I don't think throughout his military career he killed anybody. I stand to be corrected. Gowon was not a violent man. Never.
But he knew about the coup.
Of course.
The counter coup.
Oh yes, he knew. Of course he knew. He was supposed to be. He was working with. What was he? Was it chief of staff? He was working with Ironsi. He was working with Ogundipe. He knew them. He was aware. But Gowon is not the person that will pull the trigger to kill anybody. That's my understanding of him. I may be wrong. I was never a member of the military. But I was very close to the military.
Theophilus Danjuma was part of the counter coup.
Well, they've written so many books trying to say he was not very much involved. But I think he was. He said he gave orders to those boys not to kill them. But some people believe that he was the one who actually killed them.
Can you recollect what happened in Ikeja and Abeokuta barracks?
No, it wasn't in Ibadan.
I mean, yes, that was Aguiyi Ironsi in Ibadan.
Yeah.
But the bloodletting was more in Abeokuta and Ikeja barracks.
Yes, that's right. But Danjuma was not in Abeokuta. He wasn't in Lagos.
So I'm thinking, if Murtala was the arrowhead, how come he did not assume power after that counter coup?
Well, they wanted somebody that would be more or less acceptable to the South, to other people, rather than him being a Hausa man, even though we know he's from Auchi, he's not a Hausa man. It's his mother that is Hausa.
Wait, who is not Hausa man? Murtala Muhammad?
Murtala Muhammad is not Hausa.
How?
The Kukuruku people, that's where he came from. That's where his parents came from. The Kukuruku, I don't know where they're from. Not far from Auchi.
His father came from Auchi?
Somewhere around there.
His mother from where?
The mother was a sister to Inuawada.
Hausa, not Fulani?
Inuawada was not Fulani. Inuawada was Hausa. And all these who claim they are Fulani, I don't believe them. They don't. We know the features of the Fulani people. All these fat people who say they are Fulani, they are just deceiving the world, because they think it's politically correct and to give them some leverage to say they are Fulani. Most of them who claim they are Fulani have no Fulani blood in them. Perhaps some Fulani man married some Fulani woman from Hausa woman and so on. But I've seen so many of them clear. I don't need to mention their names, but we know them. Huge, fat-bellied people saying they are Fulani. No Fulani will have fat belly. It's not possible.
Fulanis don't grow fat?
No, they are lean, slightly light-skinned, and
like Buhari?
When you see Buhari, that's Fulani. When you see this boy who says he's security advisor, who's always following Ribadu, yes, these are Fulani people. But not all these fat people, huge, tall, with protruding bellies, saying they are Fulani. Don't mind them.
Murtala Muhammad was killed in
February 13, 1976. Yes.
By Bukasuka Dinka.
That's right.
Obasanjo took over.
Yes. Reluctantly he claimed, yes.
Reluctantly?
He claimed, yes.
He claimed. Why did you say he claimed?
Because that's what I'm saying. Because he claimed that he was reluctant. And that's why I wrote Not My Will.
Not My Will, yes. In this book, he talked about Murtala Muhammad's laxity about his security. That he had raised the question before Murtala was killed.
Yes.
And you just mentioned that again.
I wrote it in sketch, not just mention it. I wrote it. And that was a few days before he was killed. I wrote it, the article came out on Tuesday, and he was killed on Friday.
And when you write these articles, what gives you the instinct?
It's part of the gift I brought to the world.
This is Obasanjo's book, Not My Will. Do you read Obasanjo?
I don't read him.
You don't read Obasanjo?
At all.
And he has written many books.
I know.
He wrote about your hero.
Yeah, I didn't
Nzeogwu.
I didn't read it.
You didn't read it?
No.
Why? Why don't you read Obasanjo?
Because anything Obasanjo writes is more about self, about glorification, self-glorification and all that.
Is anything wrong about self-glorification?
Self-glorification may be wrong if it's just self-advertising and turning facts upside down.
But I've read Not My Will.
Yeah.
He gave some inciting and interesting stories about the politics of that time.
I know. That was why Babatakwe challenged him. And some people took him to court about this, Not My Will.
They took him to court about what he wrote about Awolowo?
About the book itself. But like I said, I didn't read it, and I will not read it.
But that is the power of a writer.
Oh, he has a right to write what he likes.
The way Tola Adeniyi writes what he likes.
I have a right, of course. I'm not quarreling with you for writing. I'm saying that sometimes I don't want to dignify somebody's work that I believe may not necessarily be genuine. I've not against Obasanjo as a person.
So if I give you Nzeogwu to read, will you read it?
I will read it, of course.
You will read it?
Yeah.
Chief Tola Adeniyi, I will give you the Nzeogwu to read.
Thank you very much. I will read it.
Aha.
Even if you give me not My Will, I will read it. I never read it, but I will read it.
Oh. Chief Tola Adeniyi is going to read Nzeogwu and Not My Will.
Yes.
At least I've succeeded in making Chief Tola Adeniyi read Obasanjo's books. So are you going to read them too? Chief Tola Adeniyi wants to read them.
Yes.
So I advise you read them too. So Chief Tola Adeniyi, you are going to go away with these two books.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay? At least read them. Because when I visit you again, I'll say, Baba, have you read them?
I will.
You know, Obasanjo is this character. That character that gave Nigeria democracy in 1979.
Yes.
The democracy that Gowon was running away from.
He didn't give Nigeria democracy in 79.
What did he give us?
He probably ran away to save his head. I mean, the Murtala Muhammad already fixed the date. And he wasn't in power, he was just in office. It was Danjuma and Yaradua who were running the country.
How?
Just so.
How?
That is what it was.
How can the head of state not be in power?
I'm sure you know there are many husbands who are just husbands in name, and they are not husbands in either in their bed or in their house or in their kitchen.
He was the commander-in-chief.
Yes, I mean anybody could be commander-in-chief.
He was the number 2 man when Murtala Muhammad was killed.
When Murtala Muhammad was killed, or before he was killed, he was number 2, and he was powerful. Because Murtala Muhammad gave him power to exercise some authority. But Murtala was also in charge. When Murtala died, it was Danjuma who made him head of state, who made Obasanjo head of state.
I learned that the military boys wanted Danjuma, not Obasanjo.
Oh yes, Obasanjo was number 3 in their list of preference.
In fact, Babangida mentioned it here.
He was number 3 in their list of preferences.
Number 3?
Yeah.
You know, Babangida mentioned it here, that they wanted Danjuma.
Yeah.
Not Obasanjo.
Yeah.
But Obasanjo got it.
Because Danjuma wanted him to be.
There must be something about him.
No? Who?
Obasanjo.
No, he's a very lucky man. You can't take that away from him. He's the luckiest man alive.
IBB's book, have you read this? Chief Tola Adeniyi, I will ask you about this later.
Okay.
He said Obasanjo is a lucky man.
He's a lucky man and he's somebody no one can fight.
How?
He's a mysterious human being.
Mysterious?
In 1988, I went to Ota. We were very close. I was sleeping in his house. And he told me that the office he left, nobody will be there until 20 years. When he told me, I came back to Ibadan. I told Obasanjo, the man was running a petrol station near by Kingsway. I told Dr. Adeniyi, I told about 2 other friends of mine at that time. Now this is what Obasanjo said.
That the office he left,
yes,
in Dodan Barrack,
yes,
that nobody will be there
until 20 years. That for 20 years, no civilian would take it. And that he was going to be there. And exactly 20 years, he became the head of state in 1999.
How?
That is who he is. I've written about it. I wrote it in Tribune. I wrote it in several papers after I became head of state.
Is that what you describe as mysterious?
Yes, Obasanjo. You see, the thing about Obasanjo, I wrote the Trinity of Obasanjo in one of my articles. Obasanjo is 3 persons in one. The ordinary Obasanjo, you will love him. Self-effacing, he will play with my driver, with my children on the horses in his farm, he will throw banters at you. It was very, very, I mean, you play Ayo with him. Obasanjo was ordinary. That is the Obasanjo, the human being. Then Obasanjo in power is a different person. Then Obasanjo as just a military man. In 1974, he may deny it. Abiola was there, Oguson was there, David Atta was there, Yebola was there. We went to his place in 74. He had the habit of hosting pressmen or executives of newspapers. He told us in 1974, I also wrote that in my Tribune essays, that if he ever took power, only God could remove him. It was just a commissioner for works at that time, 1974.
Under Gowon.
Under Gowon. And I've said this several times. I've written it in many articles that he said so.
I eventually got power.
Yes. This is about Obasanjo. The Obasanjo human being, you will love him. Very humble, very sometimes self-denigrating. He didn't think much about himself as a human being. Here, my driver Clement, he'll be running around this Otta farm, He was such a simple person, still a simple. You could still see him now clowning. You would think he could contest with Baba Salah and win. That's the real Obasanjo.
The Obasanjo in power.
Oh, God of mercy. It's a different person.
So who is he in power?
What he has shown to Nigerians. Killing people in OD, massacring, the whole village and all that. Telling them, I'm in charge, I'm here. Calling Chuba Kadibo to come and take pounded yam, and then immediately after eating in his house, removing him as Senate leader, or putting a gun at the head of the former chairman of PDP. Ogbe, and then take this is your letter of sack.
Should we believe Ogbe?
Of course, yes.
Should we believe Ogbe?
Of course.
That's Ogbe's story. The president didn't need to tell him to do that.
He didn't deny it. He removed. You know how many chairmen he removed of the party?
He can easily remove them with a pen. He doesn't need.
No. You wanted to appear democratic. Before you appoint, you ask you to sign dated letter that so that when they want to sack you, your signature is already there. Just throw the letter at you. That was Obasanjo. I guess that's the fox in Obasanjo.
Is that not a power game in an undeveloped state where you have vultures in charge? Remember your book, In the Belly of Vultures?
Yes. All the vultures are the people. When I was launching the book, some people said, I think my brother said, Tola, you are celebrating the vultures who are here. You call them vultures, and the people who are coming to pay to read, to buy your book, to launch your book.
So vultures were at the launching of your book?
I did not Nigeria. Most of the political elite were there.
So you invited vultures?
No, I didn't invite vultures. I invited political elite.
But you said political elites are the vultures.
Of course they are.
So you invited vultures
to
launch your book?
I invited political elite.
Not vultures. All political elites are not vultures.
No.
Some political elites are vultures.
That's right.
Obasanjo, you said he's above 90, but he just celebrated his 88th birthday.
But Soyinka said it to the world that when they were young, they were calling him Egbon. And Soyinka was born in 1934.
Okay.
Soyinka said, look, man, we call you brother Egbon when we were young. How come I'm now older than you? And last week, when former Governor Amusu was talking, I think at his birthday party, he said, Papa, we all know you are 92, you are not 88. And the man just laughed.
When I visited you the last time,
yes,
I mentioned this book to you.
Yes.
Military Leadership in Nigeria.
Yes.
1966 to 1979.
Yes.
Written by Major General James Oluleye.
A great man.
So I was asking, where is Major General Oluleye?
I said he has passed on.
And I said, he wrote a good book.
Yes. He was doing the research in Daily Times. He was coming to Daily Times library. And he was writing the book.
So he did a deep research, writing this book?
Yes, he was coming to the library, 1991, 1992. He was always at Daily Times at Agedengbi. He was coming every evening.
Tell us about him.
Oluleye, to me, probably I would rate him the most refined military officer that ever emerged in this country. Maybe you may share that with another refined gentleman whom I have a lot of respect for, and that's Akriande. But Oluleye was not political at all. He was apolitical. He was a fine man, very honest, incorruptible, and very bold. I mean, he challenged Obasanjo several times in the cabinet meetings and so on. I met him in 1973. Baba Joseph took me to his house when he was as our chairman and I was regional editor. I found him enjoying his Guinness stout with milk. He always put milk in his stout. And you won't find him in any dirty place, you know. He was a soldier to the core. You know, was General Officer Commanding 2 Division here. Also a great disciplinarian. Self-disciplined. He also disciplined himself a great deal. He's from a Fulanis.
He wrote...
And I had one wife, and I never saw him womanizing him or running after the skirt. Or no. It was just decent.
So, are you recommending this book to Nigerians?
Every Nigerian must read Military Leadership in Nigeria by Oluleye. Anything Oluleye wrote should be read by every Nigerian. It's one soldier that every Nigerian should take seriously.
This is a classic.
I will read it 20 times.
You know, I brought this copy for you in case you have misplaced any copy you had.
Thank you very much. Oluleye should be read.
Military Leadership in Nigeria, 1966 to 1979.
You know,
You
my own book is Nigeria in the Belly of the Military. 1966 to 1999.
But you have not released that book.
I've not released it.
You kept telling me you will release the book. I'm waiting for the book.
It's bigger than this book.
I'm waiting.
Okay.
Chief Tola Adeniyi.
Drew Backout begged me. He came to my house. He wanted to be the publisher. I told him it's already written. He said, I read it's already printed. I said, no, I would pay any amount for it. Duke Backout. But unfortunately, he passed 2 months ago.
At a very ripe age.
Of 93 or 94, yeah.
That was, I can call him Donyan of publishing.
It was at my book launch.
When are we reading your book?
In the Belly of the Military.
Yeah.
It's a terrible book.
Wait, what are you planning? Because I've been calling for this book.
Maybe the book will be released anytime I'm gone.
Anytime you are gone. Have you told your children?
Oh, yes.
That when you are gone, they should release it?
Mm-hmm. That in case I didn't release it before I passed, they should do so.
They should do so.
I wanted to release it in 1999. Then Obasanjo became head of state. And I told you there are so many things in that book that several people you consider big men in Yoruba land will be lynched, not stoned to death. They'll be lynched if they read the contents of that book. All this Igbo coup and all that, when you read it, you disabuse your mind. There was no Igbo coup.
There was no Igbo coup?
No.
There was no Igbo coup?
No.
The January...
It was not an Igbo coup.
Can you explain?
No.
Just give us some explanation.
It was not an Igbo coup.
Who were those behind it? Just help us. You know, that coup led to a war.
I know.
So help us.
But there was already war before the war. May 2000, even before as soon as Nzeogwu, by May of 1966, you already had war.
There was Operation Wet here in the south.
No, that was 64, 65. I'm talking of military war. Military, you know.
There was already a war going on in the military?
No, in Kano, everywhere, you know. I mean, Igbos are being slaughtered everywhere, every day, everywhere.
So tell us, it was not an Igbo coup. Who
No.
were those behind it?
Igbos, those who are Igbo, among those who planned that thing or executed it, were less than 15%.
But when we look at the leaders of
Yeah,
the
they
coup,
just if Juna was a major, the gentleman from Shagamu.
Adewale Ademoyega,
Yeah, he could hardly be called the leader of the coup, not another person. Nzeogwu just happened to be in Kaduna, and he was to execute his own assignment in the war, in the coup, and he was the spokesperson, just like Dogonjaro announced the coup that removed Shagari. Does it mean that it was Dogonjaro coup?
So it was Ademoyega's coup?
I didn't say so, but it was not. It was the coup that removed Shagari December 31, 1983 was not Dogonjaro's coup, but Dogonjaro announced the coup. And when Babangida was to come, it was also Dogonjaro who announced, then gave it to Abacha to follow up. Would you say it was Dogonjaro's coup? So Nzeogwu was there, just like all this, like the Oka coup. You say it was Oka coup. But the planner, the man who owned that coup was what's his name?
The man from Delta State?
Yeah. Nyam.
Okay. Colonel Nyam?
He was Nyam. Nyam was the brain behind, was the organizer, he was everything.
And he's still alive?
He's alive, of course. He comes to visit me regularly.
It was not Gideon Oka?
No. We saw I wrote about I thought the coup was going to happen in May. I wrote in my presidency, my report. I said it was going to happen in my paper was titled something, when there's fire going to come out, call it something flame. That was the title I gave to it, because in October the previous year, 1989, I was in Port Harcourt attending the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations conference. I was the chairman of Nigerian Institute of Public Relations for Oyo State. So my friend, late that beautiful girl, the two of us saw the catchment being brought into Port Harcourt. And we traced that catchment, the arms and so on being imported, we traced it to Ikorodu. And then I wrote on it. And I said it's going to be a coup by ex-servicemen, blah, blah, to be an unusual something. That's what I wrote. And it happened, but they brought it to April. I thought it was going to be in May. So when I saw Yam and I said, "Oga, where did you get all these dates?" I said, "Well, it's part of my training. I trained in Israel, so I know what it is."
If the January coup was not an Igbo coup,
yes,
was it connected to Obafemi Awolowo?
Awolowo had no hand in it.
Was he going to be a beneficiary?
Nigeria was going to be a beneficiary.
Was Awolowo going to benefit from the coup?
If the coup had succeeded, I think he would have been released from prison and probably would have been made the prime minister.
Was Azikiwe part of the coup?
Certainly not.
Was Michael Okwala part of the coup?
Certainly not.
Why were they not eliminated?
They were told.
They were told about the coup?
Yeah, because, this is where somebody says blood is thicker than water. Those who are to execute the eastern wing of the coup became lily-livered. And they couldn't see themselves killing Azikiwe or killing Okpara.
So there was a plan to eliminate
all of them.
All of them?
Yes. And like somebody rightly said, he said if Nzeogwu had been a Fulani man, he wouldn't have been able to kill Ahmadu Bello.
So perhaps they should have sent Ademoyega to the east.
That's right.
What other secrets do you have in the book, in the belly of the military, about that coup?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No.
A book you wrote?
I wrote it before 1999.
So, sir, since you wrote that book, you've not revised it?
No.
You wrote mostly about the military?
It was military. That's why I said they captured Nigeria. That's why I said Nigeria in the belly of the military.
Is Nigeria still in the belly of the military?
Well, in 94, before I left the country, I said it in Ota that the military would be in power in Nigeria for the next 20 years. And that had extended now to 40 years.
The military is no longer in power.
Who says?
Tinubu is in power.
Yeah.
Okay, Buhari was part of the military. But Tinubu has never been part of the military.
I know.
So Tinubu is now in power.
Yeah, but 94 to now, how many years? I said 20 years.
Jonathan was not part of the military.
I said for the next 20 years, the military will be in power in one form or the other.
But
When Buhari became head of state, it wasn't military anymore, but it was still military. When Obasanjo became head of president, it wasn't military, but it was really like a military.
a military leader has released a book.
Yes.
This is the autobiography of Ibrahim Babangida.
God bless him.
You know him well.
Very well.
You've always avoided critiquing him.
Yes.
Why?
Two reasons. I mentioned it in Abaside. If I have access to you, absolute access to you, why must I criticize you in the public?
So you have access to him.
I do.
And you worked for him.
Yes.
And he made you a permanent secretary.
Well, work for him, no, I don't like the word work for him. I didn't work for him. I served in his government.
You served in his government?
I didn't even serve in his government. Well, I served in his government as a permanent secretary, but as Daily Times chairman, his government was just a shareholder in the company.
Mm.
So, rightly, yes, I served in his government, in his cabinet as a permanent secretary, but I didn't work for him.
So you have chosen not to critique him?
If there's nothing that needs to be said about him that I cannot call him now and tell him.
In the belly of the military, I hope you wrote about him.
Oh, yes, of course.
Because if you didn't write about him, I won't read that book.
I wrote about him. And I don't think he would like what I wrote about him.
Have you read his autobiography?
It has just come out.
Yeah.
I haven't read it.
You still find time to read?
I read a lot. I read so many, if you see how many books, and how many books I'm writing now, and I write forward to so many books. I've written about 3 forwards to 3 books in the last 2 weeks.
So you still enjoy reading and writing?
And write, of course. That's the only thing I know how to do. I don't play golf. I don't run. I don't play tennis. I don't do anything other than writing and reading and listening to the news. And because news are so unpalatable now, I don't listen to news. I just write and read.
News are so unpalatable now.
I've been talking about Gaza, talking about this and that, reading about Natasha, reading about all these dirty things, reading about the mess going on in Port Harcourt. I don't want to waste my time spending time on such childish display of power.
You read about Wiki?
When Wiki was just a week in office, when did he first become governor?
Mm.
It was just a week in office when I wrote an article published in several newspapers, Wicked the Wicked. It was just 1 week in office when I wrote it, Wicked the Wicked.
What will you write now?
The structure of Nigeria brought about a wiki, like it brought about a lot of them.
And they are in charge.
They are, seriously. They've captured Nigeria. Nigeria's in their pocket.
It seems the people are helpless.
So you use the word right word, seem, yes. But you wait.
But when you watch them talk,
But you wait.
we should wait.
You wait.
You see something?
The Yoruba say that the name a father will give to a child remains in his belly until the 8th day.
Do you see them talk? You know,
I said they've captured Nigeria. They're so arrogant. That irritates me because I don't like arrogant people. They're so arrogant, so self-absorbed. They're so arrogant. Just like those days when PDP said it was going to rule Nigeria for 60 years. And after the 16th year, it was shoved aside. So these people think they'll be in power forever. Let's wait.
Let's wait. Chief Tola Adeniyi is still waiting. I recommend this book to you, In the Belly of Vultures, the collection of Chief Tola Adeniyi's writings. You will find this on udarabooks.com. You find this on udarabooks.com. In the Belly of Vultures. Military leadership in Nigeria.
Yes.
1966 to 1979.
A great man.
Major General James Oluleye's book.
Yes.
Classic.
Everybody must read it.
Did you hear that?
Everybody must read it.
Okay, I say no more. The literary biography of Chief Tola Adeniyi is also Abba Sahid, a literary portrait of Tola Adeniyi. Abba Sahid. You'll find this on udarabooks.com. You'll find all the books we have talked about on this edition of State Affairs on udarabooks.com. Things Fall Apart. Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Arrow of God is my best.
Yes, okay.
That's my best. Arrow of God by Chinua Achebe. Chief Tola Adeniyi. So let's give you your books.
Wow.
Yes, let's give you your books. Aha. Not my will. You are reading Obasanjo's 2 books,
Yes.
Nzeogwu, Chinua Achebe. I know you have your copy, but we are giving you the new edition. And Oluleye's books.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for featuring on State Affairs.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Wow.
Thank you.
I'm richer.
Yes. We want you to read more
Okay.
so that you get more angry.
Yes.
We don't want you to be happy yet. Thank you for featuring on State
Thank you
Affairs.
so much. Wow.
Thank you, sir.